of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just a note, Dr. McMillan, I may want you to expand upon it, but we're glad to have Chris Plummer back with us. Absolutely. I told him earlier, I don't know how we do it, and Mr. Huey was telling me, if we run into problems with the band, he could take over that too. All right. We have before us the adoption of the agenda and approval of the minutes. I hope everybody's had a chance to review those. If so, could I have a motion that we adopt the agenda and the minutes?
So moved.
A motion,
Second.
is there a second? Motion and a second. Any other questions, deletions, or additions? If none, all those in favor signify with that lifted hand. Thank you. Information on financial reports. She's first today, huh?
I know. Okay, if you can pull up the 26 general fund report,
General fund, okay.
you can see we're 100% of the year complete as of June 30th. However, I preface that all of our expenses and all of our revenues are not reflected in this report. We still have some things that we collect and we have to post for year end that'll keep coming in for probably another month here. So we'll be able to finalize this in about 45 days. But before you can see, like I said, the revenues, our state revenues are all in. We received all of our state grant funds. Obviously, our tuition is in. The last little pieces that we have is like the taxes. So we have to accrue for the TABT tax and so forth that we received like in July, which is for June 30th. So that will change there. In the area of expenses, you can see before you that we have $52,109,219 reflected, which we are under our budget, which is great. We ended our fund equity balance at $7,131,238. Like I said, that will change slightly, but we'll be close around that number when it's all said and done between the accrual of the revenue and some additional expenses that will be coming in. So we're grateful. You can see when we built the budget, if you remember, we had to build it with rolling in about $4.3 million out of reserves to balance it. And so based on this information, you know, we needed 1.8 of reserves to make it balance. So that's really good for us to end the fiscal year not having to need all of that reserve to make everything whole. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address those.
Okay, so we haven't actually gone into the reserve of it all.
We need some of the reserve, but not the full amount of the.
We haven't done it yet, though.
That's right, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. And then if you want to go to the special revenue report, this has your pre-K, your federal grants, and your school nutrition program. And federal grants, that's the one category where we will receive some of our funds in August. They're changing financial systems, so we will have to request some of our funds in the month of August. So we'll be closing those grants out in that time frame on the Fed side. But like I said, school nutrition, they had a balance rolling forward of almost $1.1 million, and you can see our reserves. Our fund equity is a negative 249. 213 of that goes against school nutrition, and the balance is in the federal grant program. So federal grants will be zero, and school nutrition will use some of their reserves to balance out their fiscal year.
Okay, Anybody have any questions about those, special revenue? All right, we'll move right on then.
Yep, splosh detail. This represents the past 3 months of expenses paid out of the splosh account. And I know Dr. McMillan shared with you the deposit in June. You can see we collected $593,352, which were up 16% looking at June of '25. Obviously a little less than the May 26 disbursement. However, that's normal when you look at trends. Got to remember, June's deposit represents May sales. So, and then you have the expenses that we paid out of there. Obviously, the largest line item, we just received 3 new servers, which Chris will talk about later on in the installation of that. And Tom will talk about some of the projects like the plumbing, the hot water tank heaters that were installed, and some painting and so forth that's going on. We also had some band equipment. If you remember, we have approved the purchase of about $151,000. We paid $114 the prior month, and then this is $17 more thousand. So we have a little bit to go on some equipment that's still coming in on that purchase order. We ended the month at a balance of our splosh was $16,403,277, which we're reserving 8.2 to go back into future capital projects. So that leaves us in our splosh account to decide 8.2 million. I do want to express, like we've been talking about, the new percentages will go into effect next month, the new allocations, because we're hitting the cap of the 27.3 million total. So we'll switch over to the new percentage allocations, which, we talked about ours is going from 27 down to 24%. Okay?
Okay, how will you handle the refund? You just refund into the account, into the splosh account of the $8,188,000?
I just have it set aside as restricted for capital projects out of the splosh account, so we're not refunding anything. It's still sitting in the splosh fund itself. I just restricted it for for our larger capital
So it's a
projects.
part of our investments too.
Huh?
A part of our investment of the money, you'll show that in a minute, I guess.
Yes, yeah. Well, this is separate. This is splosh, and then that's the PBA account.
Okay, but it should be in there too. I mean, maybe not the exact same one, but it should be invested.
It is. It is in the LGIP, yes. Both of them are in the LGIP account.
Okay.
Being invested, yes.
All right.
Yeah, because we collected $48,000 on this account, and on the other one, you'll see we collected like $245,000 interest.
Well, this month.
Yes, just for the month, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Any questions about the splosh account detail? All right, we'll move right along.
Then we'll look at the projection report. So kind of looking where we are in the month of June and looking forward, we're going to start having we have our mid-year bond payments that'll be coming up. And obviously we're going to have some larger project expenses like the elementary school flooring and so forth that we'll have to pay for. So that's what I've accounted for in the summertime expenses. And then obviously our, allocation will be reduced. So I just reduced that percentage down.
But you will adjust, let's see. I was looking to see how much, did you adjust the amount of
Anticipated revenue.
Anticipated revenue.
Yeah. That's why I lowered it down to 510,000. We were in the 540 to 550 range. And like I said, we're going to lose approximately 9.5% from where we were. So.
Good to shop local.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Shop local.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even things you order, to come to your house, that's like
It still
shopping
helps.
local.
It is. It's nice, yeah. Yeah. That's what I said, I buy my
Okay.
gas here, try to, like, I can make sure I do all that stuff.
Anybody have any questions about that one? It's the largest fund account.
Okay. And then we can look at the middle school Phase 2 project. You scroll down to the bottom of that report, you can see we've expended $30,345,306 with Carol Daniel. We got 5.1 to go. Of that 5.1, there's approximately $2 million that's going to be left over in contingency funds. So in reality, it's more like 3.1 to go as far as a physical number, because we're not going to have to utilize that $2 million, so that's great. If you have any questions, I can answer those.
Any questions about that? We're gonna put the finish stamp on this one pretty soon.
Yeah, put a bow on it.
Where'd Miss Knight go? There she is. Aren't we, Miss Knight?
With some additional parking lots, right?
It won't be
All right.
at 1.9.
I'm hearing you. All right, then you go to the PBA report. That's one you're going to.
Okay, and then the next report is the 2025 PDA report.
Okay.
And on here, you can see the expenses for the month of June that we paid out of the PBA account. Obviously, the biggest line item is the middle school as well as the covered facility project. We paid out a total of $1,184,379. We collected interest of $236,587. That left us with a fund balance of $77,185,561.98. And we're getting close on that covered facility project. And the project is $4 million, and we're 3.4, so it's approximately $600,000 to go. And we'll be finished with it, hopefully in another.
We're running a little under on that one too.
Yeah, run under. Okay.
Okay.
And then last but not least, the utility report. I will say pleasantly overall, we're under where we were the year before in the electric utility, believe it or not, year to date, as well as water. And obviously the middle school coming on board and bringing on the extra square footage, there was a cost increase, but I guess probably because of the construction that was going on previously as well, helped kind of mitigate that sticker shock, I would say. So that was helpful. The only thing that did, negatively impact us is that the gas, obviously the gas price was a 24% increase, so.
How much did you say?
The gas, natural gas, there was a 24% price increase.
24%?
It went from
I thought
0.46
TRS was bad.
therms to 0.60 cents per therm. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address those.
Do you have any questions about those? Thank you. We'll just move right along.
Okay, thank you.
All right. The next one will be the the transportation report. Mr. Weaver, you transporting anybody you didn't have to drive the bus today, did you?
Yes, I did. I've been driving buses up Jet Robert Road. I took 4 buses up Jet Robert Road and brought them back today. So buses are still rolling.
What are you doing up on that road? That's up my...
We're trying to get them all serviced and repaired and getting them all ready. That's what we're doing now. We're preparing everything for the year and everything. So we've been up and down the road several times today.
Well, good. Glad you're keeping in practice.
Yes, yes. Got to get some folk trained.
All right, we want to do your transportation report.
Yeah. Well, all of our drivers are in place for the current year. Currently, we have 1 sub driver position to fill, and we're running 18 regular air routes, 2 sped routes, and 1 GNet route this year. Field trips for June were 18, and I have no recommendations, and we are projected to open completely staffed.
Wow.
We say that the operative word is projected to open completely staffed.
We all are gonna knock on wood, right?
Yes, because
Uh-oh. Okay,
Operative word is,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Anybody have any questions about the transportation report? Hearing none, we'll move on to the instruction report, and Dr. Hicks, I thought I saw, yeah, there she is, I thought I saw her come in.
Yes, sir. You see there, the first couple of items I have for you are just times. Neither of these have changed from last year. So you see the start and end times by school, and then you will see the open house times and assignments by school. So exactly the same as last year. We
Okay.
have our new staff orientation next Wednesday, that's the 15th. And we are going to be at the field house all day that day. We begin it with what we are calling breakfast with the board. So we will have breakfast with you guys beginning at 7:45. I know Dr. Mullen has let you know about that. And it will be immediately followed by that panel discussion, similar to what we had last year. But it will be at the field house all day this year.
Yeah, I told Dr. McMullen, I know you were B with B, you know, keeping the B's. I said brunch would sound better than breakfast.
We'll think about that for next week.
Okay, all right,
Sleep in a little bit.
It'll be a nice little mid-morning break for us.
all right.
Next, you see, I've attached the flyer for you. Tomorrow is our first Friday at the field. It will be at the multipurpose facility, beginning 8:30, ending around 11, and that's where the Jefferson City Schools bookmobile will be over for what we are calling books and bites. So I think that there will be maybe some refreshments and some activities, different activities for children that come. So we're super excited about that time.
Tom, you got it worked out about how to get everybody in?
Yes, sir. We met over there with Ms. Hicks and Ms. Powell's day before yesterday and got everything worked out logistically with how we're going to get everybody in and out. Yes, sir.
I know we're not quite through with that yet, so I just want to make sure that all that was
Yes,
taken
sir.
care of.
We've got little hard hats for everybody. Not really.
No.
All right, so then we have our system-wide staff meeting. That's going to be on the first day of peak planning, Friday, July 24th. That's where we are going to have our code of ethics training and some important safety information and updates for all of our staff. And then the Jefferson Foundation is providing breakfast for everyone that morning.
Okay.
As far as family resources go, we have our regular back-to-school guide that will be available on Monday, and online registration will be open on Monday. And then we are making applications for your exemplary board status because we've met all the criteria for that. We'll probably submit that by next Friday. It's due in 2 weeks. I think that we'll have everything submitted by next week. And then first day of school assignments for you guys. So Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Huey, you will be floaters.
We're gonna be floating,
So no
right?
walking, no walking for y'all.
My favorite.
Miss
Floating down the river.
Minnesota will be at JPS arriving sometime around 7 a.m. Miss Smith
Get
will
ready
be
to get
at
it.
JPA arriving around 7 a.m. And then Miss Richmond will be here at the middle school at 8. And Mr. Porter will be at the high school at 8. And then we have...
We just float in whenever.
Then we have technology updates, welcoming Mr. Plummer. That's our chief technology officer.
Very excited to be here with y'all. Just want to update you on a couple of infrastructure projects. We have 2 here that are finishing up at the middle school. The access control and camera system and intercom system should be fully installed by tomorrow. Then next week, we've got a number of projects happening. The first one, we're installing new switches at Jefferson Academy. The switches are kind of like the lifeblood of our network. They control all the traffic on our network. So So that'll be happening throughout the week. And then we're having our core switch, so this is the switch that controls all of our network activity, replaced Monday afternoon after hours. Also, next week, we'll be transitioning to those lovely new servers that you purchased. That's going to be happening probably Tuesday. And then also, we'll be replacing the firewall, which is kind of our front door to the internet from our school district. That firewall that we currently have loses support at the end of next week. And that'd be like essentially leaving the door open. So we're going to be replacing that next Thursday as well. So all these should be very low impact to operations, but we'll make sure that everyone's aware of what's happening.
Okay, thank you. Is that all you have, Ms. Hicks? Anybody have any questions about that? I know Mr. Huey's got a question about how he's going to float between these schools. We'll get him one of them interviews. Bring a golf cart, that's a good idea. All right, anybody have any questions about any of that instructional report? If not, we'll move right on to facilities. Mr. Tom?
All right, you see the facilities report. We'll look at the pictures in a minute. Just a quick update on the middle school. As you can see here, a lot of 100% on here as we're finishing up this project. The main thing that they got to do is just some punch list items over here, and then they got to finish up the parking lots with some striping and some seal coating on the part that we did not refinish, but it will be seal coated, so everything will look brand new around here. And then that should be done in the next 2 weeks, and so they'll be close to being completely off of Miss Knight's campus here over the next 2 weeks, except for punch list items. As you can see here, the multi-purpose is nearing the end of it to be complete as well. The column pads, which is one of the main things left, are supposed to ship next week, and pretty much the landscaping and fencing. You'll see some of the fencing will be an action item later on down here, but we are working through some of the landscaping over there. Another part of that will be done next week, and so it's getting close to being finished as well. The high school, obviously, if you've ridden by the high school, you see that there's a lot going on over there, and so, but they're making good progress. As you can see, some 100% on here. The front mod block wall, which is that retaining wall out front, is completely done, and then the underground detention pond 1 is almost complete, which is where the new parking lot will be, right there on that in front of the sign. And then the utilities between the PAC and the existing school is about 70%. So you kind of see that when you come around the back and look between the schools there. Also, the ROTC and the old gym demo is 100% done, and we appreciate Carol Daniel and them working to get that done before school started, because it was actually scheduled to be done in August, and so they got that out of the way, so we appreciate that. The Georgia Department of Transportation permit entrance is 20%, and Kaysen said that he's probably at about 70 as of the end of today. And so they are moving right along with that. They hope to be able to open that back up early next week. And so I think they gave us the date of the 15th, Jenny, if I think is, but they were hoping to be done earlier if they could. And like you said, they're 70% done today. Curb and gutter along that new parking lot and along that mod block wall is about 5%. They started it today. Fence post went in today as well. Along that, which would be a fence along that mod block wall, and then they're moving the gas lines, and they just started on that. So you can see down there on the next part, over the next 2 weeks, a lot of this will be done, and we're thankful for that, because in 3 weeks we'll be starting school. And so you can see all those things I mentioned as far as the underground detention, the PAC, the sidewalks connecting the buildings between the PAC and the existing school to give us access to those will be done. The entrance will be done. Curb and gutter on that new parking lot will be done. And they'll be putting down a temporary asphalt for us so we can use that front parking lot. And then, of course, the fence post will be up to block that mod block wall, and then they'll also have the rooftop gas line finished. So several things that they will be getting done over the next 2 weeks. At the, just a few local projects that we're working on, as I mentioned earlier, you can see that we will have an action item for the multi-purpose area, and this will be the fence on that new entrance right there across from the city pond. We'll be putting in a new entrance right there. It'll be some black mat fencing, and then we'll have an ornamental gate with columns on either end of that entrance right there. And so we decided to do that ourselves because we felt like we could get a better rate on that, and so that'll be an action item today, and they can start on that immediately. At the elementary school, you know, we approved the flooring project at the last meeting, and they've already started on that. You can see they're about 50% done. I have some pictures of that so we can see it. It looks fantastic. Really matches over here if you walk around. Brightens that building up. They're probably, I think they're a little bit farther than 50%. I think he was shooting me low there, but it looks fantastic there. But they did run into some issues as they started working down the hallway, and so when they started removing some of that tile, they found that there was multiple layers of tile, and then when they got to that second layer, they found that there was some potential for some asbestos in there, and they tested it and found it. So we'll have that pulled out, and they'll abate that whole area and clean it, and we have an action item for that to be done. So then they have all that covered and sealed right now till y'all can approve this, and then they'll come in and third-party test it from another one to make sure that it is clean, and then they'll move on, and they think that they can still be done before Ms. Joyner has her teachers come in on that Friday. And so they have really worked together here to get this done. All right. We approved this last time at the elementary and the academy. The exterior doors were completed at the elementary school. That includes painting and repair at the elementary school, and then the painting at the academy has also been completed, and I have pictures of that as well. The water heaters that Ms. Navis mentioned that were paid for out of SPLOST, that has been completed. I did not take a picture of those. I didn't think that'd be too interesting, but they are done. And I do have a picture of the tennis courts. They're to the point now to where next week they're going to start working on putting up the fence, but the asphalt is down, so now it's pretty much down to putting the fence back up and seal coating it, painting the stripes on, and then putting our new netting up. So, you know, they are starting to see the finish line on that one as well. And so I got a couple of pictures of those. Just an update from the maintenance department. You can see the work orders have decreased over the last 30 days because, you know, they're in their maintenance mode and just trying to get everything ready for next year. And they're still holding strong at a 66 completion rate over the last 30 days. So we'll look at the local pictures first here. As you can see, this is the academy and the painting. This painting scheme matches the middle school. And so we're starting to get that continuity across our campuses here, make it easier for touch-ups, and just that consistent look across our buildings. Looks really good across here. I'm sure Ms. Ferguson would agree. And then here is pictures. These top two pictures are the painting, and the one on the left is the exterior, and the one on the right is the interior. So we painted both sides of those frames, and so they look really good. And then on here on the bottom, and I couldn't get me out of there, so don't make fun of that. And so I got
bottom
every
left is a picture of Tom.
Yeah,
Taking a selfie.
And
That's
he
right.
got the door in there also.
I heard that was a cool thing to do, was take a selfie. Bottom right is just another painting of those exterior doors on the end. The bottom left is a repair, and that door was repaired basically from halfway up down. And you can see it just blends right in. They put us a continuous hinge right there, which is better than a 3-hinge system, and so that looks really well. And they did that on 2 of our doors right there, and did a great job of it. It looks really good. Down at the bottom, you can see now what we're starting to look at the elementary school, and we appreciate y'all approving this because it just changed this building tremendously. So top left is looking down the main looking down the main hallway back up to the second grade hallway. So going by the media center and all that, and just look how much brighter it looks right there. Top right is when you come in the building at the intersection right there. So if you walk through the middle school, you'll see similar designs as this here. And so it kind of matches with that design scheme there. And then on the bottom left, I gave you a picture of a hallway. So they were able to go ahead and completely finish pre-K. And so this is Miss Beckwith's hallway right here.
That was our newest hallway.
And so that one is completely finished, and you can kind of see there. And notice on the sides of the hallways we have the gray stripes, so that'll be their walking lanes when they line up. And so now they have a spot to where they can designate for the students to put in there. And then the bottom right is the cafeteria. And so you can see how well that looks right there in those designs. And as I'll mention again, if you walk to the middle school, you'll see a very similar one. Just some more pictures down here of hallways, and then on the right is another angle of the cafeteria, and then the last drawing right there is the asphalt on the tennis court. So it looks really good. It's kind of neat when you watch people that this is their craft. I mean, it is so smooth out there. I mean, they know that it's made for tennis, and it's pretty neat to look at it. And so, real quickly, we'll just look at these other pictures over here. That is a different file. This is the cafeteria in the middle school, and so you can kind of see looking out from the serving lines here, back out across there. And then here is the new kitchen with the serving lines right here. Really starting to come together. Here's on the back side, so this would be right here to behind the TV right here, that new. And so that's where we'll be loading our buses at right here. And then you can see some of the high school here. So this is looking back from the red light. So this will be that new upper lot here, and you can kind of see it kind of coming together, so to speak, there. This is down from that intersection, looking back at the through the mod block wall and looking toward the arena. This used to be the ROTC, and so really, and I'm just really glad they were able to do that for not having to have this happen while school was going on. So we really appreciate them working and getting that done a little early for us. And that's it.
All right, I know that was a lot. Does anybody have any questions about any of that or concerns? All right, very good. There are a couple of things, as Tom mentioned, that we have as action items today that are on this list. And one that specifically wants to make sure she gets it done. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But now, Dr. McMullen, you got local policy. We'll go ahead and start action items.
Well, we just have two information items that are policies before we get into the action items. So this first one is local board policy EEE wellness program, and this is just for your information. There are no changes to this particular board policy wellness program, but we are required to annually review that policy. And then we are also, Savannah and her department, as part of the state and federal regulations, had to complete a triennial assessment. And so those results of that assessment will be posted on the system website. So this is just really an informational item. Savannah, do you have anything you want to add in terms of, these are just those compliance pieces that we have?
Okay.
And I'm thinking these pralines are part of that wellness program too, right? So,
They're very
yes,
It's definitely
Right at
mental
the
health.
top.
that's right. All right, and then so the next one is a local board policy that we did not have. This is a new policy, so we will be required to have this policy lie on the table for 30 days for public input. And this actually is referencing House Bill 268, which is the school safety law. So there's a lot of new pieces in that legislation in terms of school safety, discipline, and supports for students. And so this is one that we are required by law to have in place, and you can see that it specifies the transfer, withdrawals process, and specific guidelines that we must follow when students are transferring, withdrawing, from us. There's certain critical records that become part of this law, and then there's a position at RESA that is called the Student Affairs Officer. And so in the event that there is a situation with that transfer of records from one district to the next, then that person would be the one to kind of mediate between that to make sure that we have the proper documents in place when we're enrolling new students, and then when they withdraw from us to go to a new system. So a lot of complex pieces in this school safety law, but this one requires a policy. So again, we did not have an existing one, so this will need to lie on the table for 30 days. So we'll bring it to your attention next month for approval.
Okay, any questions about those? Not, let me know that we, I don't know which table, but they'll lie on the table.
We'll find one at the central office.
Find one, let them lie on the table. And now we'll go into action items.
Okay.
First one is the approval of the spending resolution. I think I've got it right.
Yes, we have, this is something that you did last month, but it is a spending resolution and it's a requirement until we have an approved budget in place. Kim has been continuing to collect those final budget pieces, so we're working through that process, and until we have that approved budget, we do have to have the spending resolution, so I recommend your approval.
All right. Alex, I'll have to talk to y'all later about something that happened involving a spending resolution somewhere else, but I'm going to do it right now. We have before us a spending resolution which would be adopted today and allow us to continue to operate for the next month. And we'll do another one next month. One more, hopefully.
Up until December.
Hopefully we can get through before then. We have a motion that we approve the spending resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions about it? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Thank you. All right, then we got the audit reports.
Okay, so we have come to the end of our audit process, and I believe each of the board members should have already received a copy of this, but we have the financial report audit and then also the one for Splosh. And so I'm going to turn it over to Kim to mention any highlights with this, but we would like to recommend that you approve these reports and as part of the audit financial process at the state level. So Kim?
They just completed it and submitted the final reports to us. So we have before you basically the general operating report as well as the SWOSH report. Both reports do not have any findings. They're both unqualified opinions on them. The SPLOSH one, what they do is they compare, they look at the language of our SPLOSH, they look at board actions, all of our expenses to make sure everything lines up to what's allowable under, because SPLOSH has certain is more restrictive. So that's really what they're looking at. And they only analyze SPLOSH accounts that have a greater than $5 million of annual receipts. So that's why historically we didn't have to have them until we crept over $5 million. So anyway, so I present to you guys the two reports to sign off on and approve.
And I will say, this seems to be a process that is continuous, because before she gets the final reports, she's starting to provide documentation for the next year, and I would like to thank Kim. Kim does a tremendous job in our finance department, and I appreciate everything she does to make sure we're right here with the no findings. So thank you, Kim. I know that's a lot for your department to take on.
And I will add, I had to be involved, Dr. McMullen and I, with the State Department of Audits, and the two people we were involved with talk about what great cooperation Kim and the people in her staff did to make this a very streamlined and smooth process. Plus, as I said, they had no findings or even questioned the cost to report. So it's everything, what they call a clear audit, clean audit. And I will say this, as far as some of the, I don't know if you had an opportunity to review it, it's only 70 pages long, so midnight reading when you can't sleep. But we will go over this in more detail if you would like to, if you may would like to have sort of a class on audits. We'd be glad to do that. And the GSBA is going to be doing some of that similar thing because of some, primarily one school district that got in trouble, and they trying to make sure that board members know what's going on with all the money, and the audit is the way to find out. So we'll keep that in mind, and whether we need to go through it, I'm not going to go page by page, but and I don't remember how long the SPLOST audit was.
It's a small one.
Yes, I figured it's small. It's probably only 50 pages. Okay. Because if you want to do anything about looking at the audit report or going over the audit report, we'll take time and do that. But with that in mind, could I have a motion that we approve the audit reports as submitted and received by the State Department of Audits?
So move, and thank you, Kim, for all your work.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with that lifted hand. Thank you very much. We'll move right along. Declare item surplus. Here you go, Willie. What you got?
All right, so we have a list of about 13 pages of our technology equipment. Mr. Plummer, do you have any
Certainly.
comments you want to make about this list?
Sorry to come in and clean out the closet as the first thing. So most of the devices on this list represent either Windows desktops and laptops that can't be upgraded to Windows 11. We also have a number of projectors that have been rendered obsolete by our interactive panels. And then a number of Chromebooks that represent some of the earliest Chromebooks we bought as part of our 101 initiative that had become broken and are no longer financially feasible to repair. So that's the bulk of the items on there. There's a few just kind of odds and ends, but that's most of it. Happy to answer any questions.
If anybody takes any of this equipment, does it come with professional development on how to use it, right?
You probably wouldn't want it. You might cut yourself on it.
See where some's broken and some's retired.
Yeah, I see some on there, 206. It just says broken.
Yeah.
All right. Took time to figure that one out. All right. You see the list of surplus property that we must declare as a surplus. To have a motion that we do so.
Motion.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. And a third. And any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Thank you. All right. We talked about this earlier. It's on the elementary school floor tile abatement. So, Dr. McMullen, if you want to.
Okay. Last month, you know that you approved the JES flooring project. Mr. Parker shared with you some pictures of that project underway, but with the age of that building, there is also a part of this process that is going to require just the abatement and testing just for safety purposes. And so we have a quote from Georgia Environmental for a cost $22,130, and then we will, in addition to that, have additional third-party testing that will cost about $2,500. So I would like to recommend that you approve this project so we can finish getting those floors installed and get ready to bring our families back in and our staff.
All right, we heard the recommendation of the superintendent that we go ahead and contract on this floor tile abatement. And as it was described, they come in and they take up the old tile and take up, if I understand correctly, the binder or the cement that held the tile down.
They'll use a solvent to dissolve it and get rid of it.
And get all that done. That's what had the asbestos in it.
And the last time, not to interrupt you, Mr. Hopkins, but the last time, there's 2 layers of tile. And so I think when we did a flooring project over there years ago, we just put the tile on top of the existing tile. So that's, if we didn't have to take care of it now, when we do renovations in the future, we're gonna have to take care of it, so now's a good time with everything else going on.
The second layer was called encapsulating, so you didn't disturb what was in the bottom, so you didn't have to do an abatement at that point. All right, so do I have a motion that we approve the floor tile abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor, signify by raising hand. Thank you. All right, fencing and gate at the multipurpose facility.
Mr. Parker also mentioned this, so I won't spend any time here other than to let you know that our bid received was Chapman Fence Company in the amount of $29,925. That will include the black chain link fence, the 2 brick columns, and the decorative gate. And that will take care of adding some security fencing over at the multipurpose on the other side of, opposite of the soccer field. So I would like to recommend you approve this project.
Okay, to explain it again, Tom, if you ride by there, you'll notice that the block wall from 1950 or 1944, whenever it was, is stopped there, and this fence will pick up where that is and come around to the road. And at the road, they'll build 2 columns and have a gate.
Yes, sir. It'll come it'll go between the field and where the new pump house is, running right along there. On that side, it's a couple hundred feet over there on that side that you're mentioning. And then when we cross over, we got just over 100 feet on the other side, and we'll go out toward that private property to our right there to the that side, and then we'll go back behind the new storage facility, and there's a fence that runs over that rock. We'll connect up to it. So we'll be completely contained at that point.
Trying to provide some safety and logistics in there. Okay. I have a motion that we'll approve the fencing and gate at the multipurpose facility.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions about that? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by raising hand. Thank you. Excuse me. I bet that sugar got me. Yeah. All right, next we have meal rates. You want to go over that, Dr. Malone?
Yes, the meal rates for the upcoming school year. Annually, we look at these rates. We don't always increase them, but in looking at meal costs, we're going to have to make a slight adjustment, and we actually are only going to recommend that we increase the student breakfast from $1.40 to $1.50, so a 10 cents increase. And then the other increase comes for staff breakfast and staff lunch. So we're able to keep the student lunch cost the same. This actually for the staff is something at the recommendation of the State Department. And so we have to comply with that recommendation from our compliance review. And so it will be a 25 cents increase for the staff breakfast from $1.75 to $2, and then 20 cents for the staff lunches, so $4.30 to $4.50. And Savannah and Hannah have done a great job in cost, comparison from other districts, and these still are even under, surrounding districts. So we would recommend this price increase for the upcoming school year.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the superintendent as far as meal prices are concerned at the cafeterias system-wide. They have a motion that we adopt these.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with that raising hand. Thank you. Let's see. Men regulation, BCBI.
Okay, the next several action items include policy amendments. These are from legislation passed in 2025 and 2026. Dr. Hicks and I have spent several days going through, policies, and at the direction of information that we have received from Corey Kirby's office. making these adjustments. And so what I've done here, you've got this attached, and we've gone in and highlighted in red font the changes. So again, all of these are necessary to comply with new legislation and state law. You are familiar with this regulation. We actually have a board policy, VCBI, public participation in board meetings, that was put in place, I think, back in maybe 2022. And so there's no change to actually the policy, but there was recommended changes from Corey's office in terms of our actual procedures. And so this puts us in compliance with any changes in that law. So you've got those listed there. And I would recommend approval of this adjustment. These do not
Go
have
do one at a time.
We'll do one at a time, and so this does not have to lie on the table. None of these do, because we had existing policies, so we're just revising those policies. So I would recommend that you approve the amendment to Regulation BCBIR1, which is a regulation, as opposed to a policy.
And I will state, if you hadn't had a chance to look at them, the first one having to do with public comment, rules of conduct of public participation procedures. And the first red line change is it requested that all members of the audience be civil, avoid profanity, and not use abusive or sexually explicit language. Sounds like a good idea. So that's the change in that one. So do I have a motion that we adopt this first policy change on public participation at board meetings?
Motion.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion, I second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by the up of the hand. Thank you.
Okay, this next one is amend local board policy DIBR1, capitalization policy for fixed assets. And I'm going to actually have Kim, this is just changing the amount from $5,000 to $25,000, and then you've got some other adjustments down at the bottom. So Kim, I'll turn this one over to you.
Yeah. The main reason for the policy change is to add in bulk purchases. The auditors, that was one of their recommendations in this last thing, was to, for example, we buy 100 Chromebooks. The Chromebook in and of itself is not worth more than $5,000 or now $25,000. So it in and of itself is not capitalizable, but maybe collectively amongst the whole group of them, it's just a different way of looking at some things. However, the way we worded it, and I looked at several other school systems, most of them say they will only do bulk purchases unless it exceeds 5% of their total capital assets, which our total capital assets are actually around 79 to 80 million. So that would mean it would have to be, give or take, around a $4 million purchase to really meet it. We just have to have the language in the policy is the bottom line. And so while we were doing that, we went back and looked at the values, and obviously because of price increases, you can buy this pen for $5,000. I'm being facetious, but anyway, so it was just time to kind of change that limit a little bit, and so that's why we just elected to raise it, because, you know, we really want to collect the bigger items. We don't want to chase a lot of little things. So, so that's what those main changes are.
Yeah, okay. Heard the explanation there. Primarily changes from $5,000 to $25,000, the amount of fixed assets that are being purchased, and the way you treat them on your accounting. To have a motion that we approve this change in policy DIBR1, financial reports.
Motion.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify with the uplifted hand. Thank you. All right, the next one, Dr. Mullen.
Board policy GAAA, which is equal opportunity employment. The only change here is we are required to comply with listing the specific titles of the individuals who are responsible for those particular areas. And then this information has to be made available on the district website. So we're recommended to use titles as opposed to names so that you're not constantly having to update the policy. So I would recommend your approval of this amendment GAAA.
All right, you've heard the recommendation, Superintendent. Do I have a motion that we adopt the amended policy GAAA?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? It's not the insurance company now. GAAA. All right. No other questions? All those in favor signify with that blue hand. Thank you.
All right, and then the next one is to amend the board policy GAEB, sexual harassment of employees. And the only change to this actual policy is the reference to in light of federal U.S. Department of Education, you're including here, if that entity goes away, it's equivalent. And so basically this deals with Title IX regulations and the U.S. Department of Education or the equivalent position within a succeeding organization. So that was a recommendation in this particular policy in terms of revising it. So I would make that in the form of a recommendation.
All right, heard the recommendation of the superintendent. To have a motion that we amend board policy GAEB, sexual harassment of employees.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify with up. Got any questions? You got to be quicker.
All right, amend local board policy GARH. This is employee leaves and absences. And this one, you see a few, just some wording changes, nothing really changed at the top part of this, but this does include the new maternal birth leave, which is something that was recently passed in the 2026 legislation. So the maternal birth leave stipulations there, and specifying which employees are eligible for that and what a qualifying life event means. And then this would be leave that would run concurrently. You have all kinds of leave in terms of just your basic sick leave and personal and professional leave, but then there's also paid parental leave, there's maternal birth leave now, and then FMLA. So this policy specifies and lays out all the details of the different types of leave.
Okay. You want to define maternal birth leave?
Maternal birth leave that allows an eligible employee, once she has given birth, you have to be full-time in the district and eligible to receive benefits through state help, but you have to have been with us for 6 continuous months of employment if you're certified, or must have worked a minimum of 700 hours. But it's giving birth to a child, and you can have that 3 additional, I think it's an equivalent of about 3 additional weeks. That's correct, isn't it, Kim? The 3 weeks, and that can be, that can run concurrently with the other types of leave, so that just gives the mother some additional time to stay home with the baby, depending on.
It says 120
when.
hours.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Yeah.
15 days.
And depending on when if the mother gives birth, if it's at Christmas break or winter holidays, and we're about to go into a break, it changes that a little bit. It would have to be, or
It
the
doesn't
last week of the
extend it,
school
yeah.
year.
Or if they have it in the
Additionally,
summer.
you don't have to
If they
keep-
have the baby in the summer, they wouldn't get maternal birth leave because they'd be off. So.
Yeah.
So just using that as an example. But if they have it during the school year, under FMLA, you have a cumulative of 60 days, paid or unpaid. This just provides a paid vehicle for the beginning part of that time frame. So it starts with the 15 days here, and then the paid parental leave kicks in after, and that gives an additional 30 days. So technically, a mother has 45 days available to be covered without using
Sick
her
leave.
sick leave, yes. Yeah. But then it's capped. The one thing that is capped too, especially because we have a lot of families in our system, it's a cumulative of 60, male or female, so it's capped cumulatively when there's more than one spouse working in the same school system. So
Okay.
it gets a little complicated
It
to
sounds
track,
like it.
so, yeah. It's I always tell everybody, it's a case-by-case situation, so we sit down individually, and that's part of this law too, is that we do have to provide information and update, and so we do sit down with every person individually and go through their situations and communicate with the administration so they can appropriately prepare. And we also state in here, just like with FMLA, that we do not allow for intermittent leave. So if somebody wants to, just work half days or just be off on Monday and Friday, we don't approve that. So it has to be lump sum days taken, so that academically we're not involving, impacting instruction negatively as well, so.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of Dr. McMullen and the explanation by Ms. Navis. Do I have a motion that we approve the amendment to Board Policy GARH, Employee Leave and Absences?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by up with hand. Thank you, sir.
All right, and the next one is amend Board Policy IDE 3, competitive interscholastic activities, grades 6 through 12. And what this policy does is just extends, previously we had the stipulation listed in number 2, the home study students, but this also extends to students enrolled in a virtual school within the district and what their requirements are in order to participate in competitive interscholastic activities in the public school setting. So basically that's what that revision would include, was the virtual school students.
That homeschool students or virtual students must enroll and attempt to complete one qualified course as defined in state law for each semester of participation. Each semester of
Each
participation.
semester, that's right. This
Okay.
is relative to the Dexter-Mosley Act.
Or the Tim Tebow Act, depending on which one you want to go through. All right, you've heard the recommendation of the superintendent on Board Policy IDE 3, competitive interscholastic activities. Do I have is there any other questions? Do I have a motion that we approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? And it does state that this is grades 6 through 12
That's
only.
correct,
Only
yes.
grades 6 through 12. Okay, all those in favor, please signify with the uplifted hand. Thank you.
Okay, and then Board Policy IHE, promotion and retention. This one just provides the guidance or the regulation that parents must be informed of promotion retention requirements in the student handbook or any other information that's disseminated to parents. And so, again, we are required to have procedures in place regarding the promotion retention of students, which we do. That is information that is provided in our student handbook. I do anticipate possibly this one having to change later because part of that literacy law will be the kindergarten to first grade, readiness. And so once that becomes in effect, we will have to probably go back and maybe adjust our procedures and possibly the board policy, depending on the guidance we receive at the state level.
But you want to go ahead and do this
We'll go ahead and
amendment
do
now?
this one, yes.
Okay, do I have, upon the recommendation of superintendent, do I have a motion that we adopt the amendment to policy IHE, promotion and retention?
So moved.
A motion is there a second? Second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by that by raising your hand. Thank you.
All right, and then the next one, Board Policy JAA, which is Equal Educational Opportunities. This one is similar to the one we talked about previously, GAAA, and it just requires us to specify the coordinators for each of those areas, Title IX, Title VI, Section 504, and ADA. So you've got those titles listed. Again, more specific procedures are listed on the system website. So I would recommend the amendment of Board Policy JAA, Equal Educational Opportunities.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the superintendent on Board Policy JAA, Equal Educational Opportunities. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by the upward your hand. Thank you very much.
Okay, Board Policy JB, Student Attendance. This one just changes the language of you've heard us talk about the Jackson County Attendance Protocol. Well, now it's called a School Attendance and School Climate Committee. And so we have to have specific procedures in place to comply with law and address student attendance issues. It says no students may be expelled due solely to absenteeism, and then at the bottom, the school system will comply with state law requirements, any state board rules, and the protocol developed by the Student Attendance and School Climate Committee. So in Jackson County, the 3 school districts have worked collaboratively to have this school climate committee, and we thought it's similar procedures across the 3 districts. Mr. Parker, would you like to add anything with this particular policy and the requirements?
And so we revised ours this year. Judge Garrison oversees that committee for Judge Prim. And so we meet with other school systems, and we submitted this protocol in May this year that we all jointly kind of worked on together. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's a big focus on student attendance at the state level and within the legislative sessions these last couple of years too, the importance of having students at school. So.
All right. We've had the recommendation of the superintendent. Do I have a motion that we amend local board policy JB, student attendance?
Motion.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Thank you.
All right, and then the next one is JVC, school admissions. We had an existing policy, but you will see that pretty much all of that has been revised with the new policy update that we received from the attorney's office. But basically this talks about enrollment transfers and, school admissions, transfers, withdrawals. It talks about the compulsory attendance age, and then this one also goes into enrollment of foster care children. It also has, the homeless students and the specific guidelines and procedures that we must follow when enrolling those students. So I'll let you take a look at that and let me know if you have any additional questions. But we basically have just some other things that we have to put in place. Again, this goes along with some of that student record, that previous one that we talked about with the critical records of students and what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do in terms of enrolling certain populations of students.
Well, it does look like you pretty well replaced
That's
all of
right.
this. And your recommendation is that we approve this amendment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We recommend JBC school admissions, approving the amendment.
All right, you heard the recommendation of the superintendent that we approve board policy JBC, school admissions. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Have a motion and a second. Again, is there any other discussion or corrections or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by the uplifted hand. Thank you very much.
All right, and the next one, board policy JCDAG, bullying. And this one extends, student has committed an act of bullying or is a target or suspected victim of bullying. It requires local school systems to provide, counseling services as needed. It also extends the bullying into some cyberbullying, so you've got that specifically. And the term actually applies and it specifies in this policy what school grounds would be. So occurs on school property, school vehicles, at designated school bus stops, or at school-related functions or activities, including but not limited to extracurricular activities, or by use of data or software that is accessed through a computer system, computer network, or other electronic technology of a local school system. So again, this is kind of broadening that definition, and what would be, what's constituted as bullying, and what specific things that we have to put in place in the event that we investigate and find that bullying has occurred.
Okay, we heard the recommendation of the superintendent that we amend local board policy JCDAG, bullying. Do I have a motion that we amend this policy?
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by the uplifted hand. Thank you. All right.
Okay, and finally, and
You got
I'm
two
sure
more.
we'll have an updated policy manual after today. So, amend local board policy JGJA, suicide prevention. This one just basically specifies the Georgia code there, and this deals with suicide prevention efforts and interventions, postvention, us providing that counseling service to those students as needed. So I would recommend you approve this amendment as well.
Okay, we heard the recommendation of the superintendent to amend board policy JGJA, suicide prevention. Is there a motion that we approve this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by the uplifted hand. Thank you.
And then the last action item is just to approve the exemplary board application and the FY27 board member training plan. Dr. Hicks mentioned the exemplary application process. We will have all of this documentation submitted by the end of next week, and so you do have to approve this plan as part of that process. So I would recommend, you definitely have met all of the requirements and participated in quite a bit of training. So I think you'll want to approve this one for sure.
All right, you heard the recommendation of the superintendent that we approve the exemplary board application and for FY27 on the training plan with the Georgia School Board Association. Is there a motion that we approve this plan?
Motion.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Thank you. And we just mentioned that about public comment, so right now, if anybody would like to make a public comment, or a member of the public would like to comment, same thing, isn't it? But now would be the time. Hearing none, we'll move right along to enter into executive session. But before we get to there, I always want to talk to the, or hear from, not talk to, hear from the principals. And Ms. Hardy, let's talk with you. You look, somebody said they thought that President Trump had dropped a bomb on the front of your campus out there.
Yes. He was getting there, making the decisions, and it's crazy. excited too, so just rolling with the punches at the high school.
I understand.
Exactly. But
Oh, yeah.
y'all are all invited to, after the house, we'll have Huck's Catering, so please stop by and have a hamburger or hot dog.
Oh, that sounds good.
Stop by. Scotland made it back safely.
I was gonna ask
They
about
had a
that.
great trip, so no problems. If I don't hear from people, I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to, in addition to that, Morag McDonald retired
Yeah.
as a teacher in Scotland.
Oh,
She loves Jefferson. but
Yeah,
may
she
not
came
see
here
her.
several times.
Pardon?
She came over here several times.
Yeah, she was good friends with Nadine and Glenda Blackstock.
And that was the very first one. I
The
think.
Scotland head teacher, their principal, sent an email, and I forwarded it to Dr. McMullen, thanking y'all for the support, and y'all did that trip, and he's very complimentary of our students, and I look forward to having them in October, and that'll be here before I know it.
Yeah.
It sure will. Well, thank you very much. Ms. Joyner, you're right there.
I'm right here.
Tell us about what's happening at the elementary school.
It is never calm or quiet at the elementary school, so
Yeah.
there's still lots going on this summer. Our Dragon Day kids that come for summer camp from 7 in the morning until 6 at night, their last week this summer will be next week. And so they have been amazing. They've been so flexible with all the different activities going on in the building. We don't have the pre-K and kindergarten jumpstart classes since the end of June. But those little summer camp kids, they traipse around the outside building from the gym around to the meeting center. They have stations they work through. They've had a great summer. So those kids and the staff, they've been super flexible. The floors look fantastic. We're super excited. I can't tell you how it opens up those hallways. It looks so clean and fresh. And Mr. Darrell is so excited not to have to wax.
Not to have to
those
wax them.
floors. And we're excited for him because he doesn't need to be doing that. But teachers are anxious to get in and start getting their classrooms ready. They know their pre-planning time is short before open house. So, you know, at the elementary school, there's lots they want to rearrange and decorate. So, I said, enjoy your summer. Enjoy your summer. It's coming fast. But I'm getting ready to have all of my administrative team back Monday. And so we'll meet. We have a leadership retreat next week. We have new teacher orientation after the system does. So we're about to start moving at warp speed.
Yeah, I hear you. Very good. Ms. Beckwith, she was talking about you don't have any children, so you've got nothing to do. Is that what I understand?
Fabulous.
We had a great end to our summer camp and had some really nice emails from parents. And what we're working on now is there's a lot of ticky-tacky data that has to be input into the state website that they have so that we're ready for the August payment to be released. So I was on the phone with them today getting all that straight. But we need our money to come in August, so it's a work we're doing.
All right, very good. Ms. Knight?
I'm very excited.
Yeah. You get to show off a brand-new building, don't you?
Yes, it is amazing and almost there, almost finished. Cannot wait to, something Dr. McMullen said yesterday, for the best year ever to get started with everything complete and done. And to Jenny, I just want to say, Carol Daniel has always come ahead of time. So it's going to be okay, I promise.
I just don't know what they're hitting all the time. When we hit a rock, and I'm like, oh, great, that's fine.
I'll hit that water line back.
ACT is.
We're one giant rock quarry here.
It
So
builds
you're,
resilience.
so you're bequeathing to her all of the construction.
The baton.
In her real, she's been a great advice and given me some great tips, and I know that I can also rely on many of the people that Carolyn's been awesome too. So get me prepared mentally, physically, emotionally.
For all of it, okay? Anybody else have anything to say? Are we going to prepare that year-end review? Annual report. I say we. I'm looking at you. It's not exactly we. Okay. Very good. I was bragging about the last year one, and I said there'll be another one in a few months. I'll get you, this person, I said, I'll get you a copy of that one.
We include our financials in ours, as a lot of people don't, and so that we have to go through the end of July to have those numbers.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anybody else have any comments for the good of the order? Hearing none, do I have a motion, we go into executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by the button. Thank you. Great, y'all.